What's going on, everyone? So I made a video the other day about Nick Smith Jr. because the Charlotte Hornets decided to waive him. And, Nick Smith Jr. I've talked about in the past in various Charlotte trades as like an add-on, an addition. Like, can you add him on? He's an undersized guard, but he's a bucket, right? He's a guy that can play some defense, get after it, kind of be a little pesky, athletic, young, versatile, can shoot, can score the basketball, run plays, right? He's 21 years old. He won't be 22 till April, so he's just another young development piece that the Lakers could bring in and kind of go through the process. And I talked about, should they bring him in at least on a training camp deal, maybe keep him under the Lakers banner, because you could technically sign him to the G League affiliate and just kind of engage, like give him an opportunity in training camp. Evaluate him, see if he's somebody that can make an effort. Lakers need scoring off the bench, right? Lakers were dead last year in points off the bench, and you need guys like a Nick Smith who last season averaged 10 points per game. If he can give you anything close to that off the bench, that would be massive for this Lakers team, who again was terrible in that regard. A guy that wouldn't be super reliant on Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, but still could play off ball, could still play alongside those guys at times. Obviously, you have concerns about the lack of size, but again, if he's playing in that like sixth man role, bucket getter, can he get up to, 12, maybe 15 points a night off the bench, playing off of Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, that I think he could be somebody that could be a difference maker for the Lakers. Not really so much right now this season, right? Lakers, the only way they could bring him onto the main roster would be to pull off a trade, but I talked about maybe you can bring him in on a two-way, and if you sign him on a two-way, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, we could use another guard, bring in Nick Smith Jr., kind of give him an opportunity and just see if he can maybe help with some of the bench scoring and bench production that you lack very heavily with this team. Well, turns out, according to Dave McMenamin, that the Los Angeles Lakers have signed Nick Smith Jr. on a two-way. So the Lakers had one open two-way spot, which was kind of the question. It's like, okay, what are they going to do, right? I thought it would be somebody like an Eric Dixon, right? Because he seems to be the most NBA ready as far as offense and versatility, right? Like he's a guy that you could kind of plug and play right now, maybe just be a rotation piece during the regular season. I don't really know so much about the postseason, but during the regular season when you're going 12 deep or whatever, right? He could maybe be a guy that could give you some offensive firepower off the bench. Arthur Kaluma is a guy that I'm really big and high on. But then you started to see the Lakers start to waive a bunch of these guys, right? Now, obviously the reason that they waive these guys is to retain their rights so that way they can bring them down to the G League team. And look, I made a video about it that the Lakers are finally starting to get the players to match what they've talked about the last 2 years. Now, obviously, Luka kind of threw a wrench into everything. Luka kind of made it difficult because it was like Lakers had a clear vision. Okay, we're going to revamp all our departments, do all this stuff, right? We're going to start housing and bringing in a bunch of these young players to kind of grow and develop over the next few years, and then have that kind of cycle where it's like, okay, guys are coming in, right? And replacing the talent that is going out. And that talent's going to leave, through they just outperform and get bigger contracts, or they're just not very good. And it's like, hey, it's time to let them go, or they're just not a fit, or whatever. There's 100 reasons why guys end up leaving a team or not. And then you need that next wave of talent, especially cheap, young, versatile talent that can come in and have an impact and play a role, right? Especially for a team that, DeAndre Ayton works out, you're probably paying him. If Austin Reeves, right, you're probably paying him 35 plus million. All of a sudden, you're going to start getting into that cap space. You're going to need kind of guys like a Nick Smith Jr. that you can bring in on a cheap deal, on a vet minimum contract that can play a role for you off the bench, filling in a pinch, go and get you buckets, right? And kind of play a role that the Lakers really need. And so that's why, like, when we had when I saw that Nick Smith Jr. was available, it was like, hey, this is a guy that could make sense for the Lakers to bring in as a young talent, a young development guy that could be like that Lou Williams type. Right? I'm not looking for him to be a superstar or anything like that. Can he just be one of those, that sixth man off the bench, a Malik Monk type? And that's who I actually compared him to in the previous video. I talked about, you saw Malik Monk, right, go, same team, right, that ended up signing with the Lakers, and people were kind of surprised because he was so young and showed some promise. And it was like, okay, that's kind of, he's taking a vet minimum deal. He's kind of betting on himself, and it paid off. It worked out. And he ended up getting a real contract with the Sacramento Kings, and now he's into his second contract, right? So to me, I look at Nick Smith Jr. as another guy that can kind of play that role, right? A guy that come to the Lakers, you get the spotlight, you get the headlines, you get all that stuff, the attention that you would get nowhere else, right? You come in, if you play a role, if you're a key contributor, you show some promise on a two-way deal. Right? If we end up pulling off a trade at some point during the season and we need a guy, boom, we can easily bring you up, and now you're on the main roster. We can easily convert you, and now you could be a bucket getter that's coming off the bench. He'll probably play, 40 games or whatever, 30 games, depending on, if they bring him in at some point. If not, then he's a guy that you can bring on next season, as you need depth in scoring and shooting and all these things that this Lakers team is going to need going into next season also. So to me, I think a Nick Smith Jr. is kind of an ideal young talent that has already shown some real promise. Again, scoring 10 points a game on a team that, one, wasn't very good, lost a lot of their key players, a lot of their key components, and, he had to kind of self-create a lot and do a lot more than what would be asked for him on like a Lakers team. But can he evolve into that player to where, again, he's not reliant on Luka, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves, and can be a guy that can just self-create for himself, get some buckets, maybe be a little more efficient. I'll go over the numbers here in a moment, but be a little more efficient playing alongside those guys and the attention that they draw. And as he starts getting into, 23, 24, 25, start coming into his own, like I said, be that Lou Williams type, that could do wonders for this Lakers bench. If he could, be a sixth man of the year candidate, or at least close, right? A guy that's just coming in, filling in spots, gives you the random 20-point game here and there, but for the most part can just be a consistent, 12 to 15 point a game guy. Like I said, he averaged 10 last season. So to think playing alongside Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, he can't go and get you another, 2 to 5 points, right? I think is a little silly. I think he easily could be, maybe even at his peak, like a 15 point a game guy off the bench that could be that scorer, be that sixth man role, play that Lou Williams role. But again, 21 years old. Like I mentioned, he's undersized. He does get after it defensively. Right, he is a guy that actually will put in an effort at that time, but sometimes he's just undersized. He's also young, so he'll be out of position at times and stuff. But we've seen spots where he actually is working hard on the defensive side and trying to be that kind of pest and menace. So it's just somebody that I could see maybe the growth and potential kind of continue to grow. He's had some decent seasons for this team, or for the Charlotte Hornets, as like, a guy that can in spots play some defense, but again, he's undersized. And so he's a guy that I'd be looking more for as like a guy that could get you buckets than a guy that is like a defensive stopper or anything like that, if that's what you're looking for. But as far as like the points and the stats and all that stuff go, like I mentioned, at a glance, he was basically a 9-point a game guy. But if you look at him during the actual regular season and what he produced, his 2 seasons in the league, last season, 60 games played, 23 minutes per game, got 9.5 field goal attempts per game, shot 39.1% from the floor. He shot on 5.1 attempts. He shot 34% from 3-point range, which isn't great. Like, it's not terrible. Like, it's not like Jared Vanderbilt bad, but it's not great. However, the previous year, on 3 attempts, he shot 43%. So to me, can he go to that 5.1 attempts, right? So basically, more than half of his attempts are from 3-point range. Can he go to 5 attempts at like, I don't expect him 43%. That's pretty great. I mean, obviously if he can, that'd be great. But can he be 38%? Right? Can he kind of meet in the middle on those two? 43%, 34%, can you get another, 4% better playing alongside Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and LeBron James? If he can bump up to like 37, 38% from 3-point range, then right then and there, he's, an 11-point a game scorer, something like that, on just better efficiency. 2-point range, he shot 45% on 4.4 attempts, EFG of 48.2%, free throw shooting. Not a ton of free throws because obviously he's a guy that is being primarily a three-point shooter, shot 93.5% on one attempt. Rebounds, 2.1 rebounds, 2.5 assists, half a steal, half a block, and 10 points per game. Like I said, he can get after it at times. It's just getting him bought in, focused, and staying active on the defense side of things, right? Him being undersized, it's going to have to work harder. You're going to have to be more relentless. You're going to have to be more, more physical. You're going to have to be more aggressive, kind of be that Pesk, right? There is a version of him because he has the athleticism, he has the speed, he has the things needed to be at least a good defensive player for you, right? I don't think he's going to be like elite or great or anything like that just because he lacks the size. But we'll touch on that here more in a moment. I want to go over his per 36. Per 36 doesn't tell you everything, but it kind of gives you an idea. Last season, he would have been 15.5 points, 4 assists, 3.5 rebounds, half a steal, half a block. For his career, he is 15.3 points, 3.5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, half a steal, and half a block. And again, that's his per 36. Per 36, again, doesn't tell you everything, but kind of gives you an idea of like if he was getting kind of more minutes, is that something that he could maybe, again, can he be a 15-point-a-game guy, right? Can he translate that to what we need? But the thing about Nick Smith Jr. is he does have a good wingspan. So you talk about a guy that has the height, the length, the athleticism, the versatility, all the things that you want. It's just, again, getting him to buy in on the defensive side of things, right? Like if he can be that physical, kind of aggressive Pesk where he's just relentlessly getting after it, then I do think that that's something that we could maybe see him just be better at, right? Like it's just, again, at the end of the day, it's about buy-in, right? Can you consistently buy in on the defensive side of things? If he can do that, then I think the Lakers would be in really good shape, and I think that he's an excellent pickup for this Lakers team. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? Do you like Nick Smith Jr.? Do you not? Are you kind of like, Lakers should have stayed away from him? How do you feel either way? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.